So yesterday, yeah, what task is it? It's the same. We can do it.
Well, no, we have to wait for camera people up there.
We have to wait for the camera.
My hair okay? Your makeup's all right?
Yes. Okay, hi everyone, good evening. It's a pleasure and a privilege to invite you all to this event. It's a great opportunity to have Mr. IBM Robertson, who is from IBM, a senior management consultant. So round of applause for Mr. IBM Robertson, please.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for the applause. I might not get any at the end because it might be so awful, so it's very useful to have some at the beginning anyway. I'm somewhat embarrassed that I'm being videoed up there, so I'll gradually get used to the idea, but I don't know whether any of you are ever going to look at the video, so I'm probably fairly safe on that. I understood briefly from your colleagues that you're in the area of management of IT systems rather than the actual designing and building of IT systems. In other words, you come from a background where you're interested in the specifications and the reliability, the costs of systems, what they can be used for, but not necessarily in cryptography and the size of databases and things like that.
Not everyone.
Not everyone. Yeah. We've got a cryptographer in the background there. Yes, jolly good. Well done. Well, I'll see if I can find something to keep you awake.
Most of them are interested in projects, therefore...
Projects. Here is a project, yes. Let me go ahead then and talk about a project. We have lots of projects at IBM. I've been in IBM about 13 years, and my current major project, I suppose, is the UK border agency's visa system. So I'm the security architect in IBM for a system which some of you may in fact have used when you apply for visas to come to the UK. The system is quite large, it's got about 800 servers, it's got records on about 250 million people who've come to the UK over the last 20 years. It contains links to the UK fingerprint database. It's got a list of criminals, a list of unwanted people, so it's a serious piece of computing. On the other hand, it's got to be a system which people can use and apply for visas from abroad. It's got to be fairly friendly, and of course the client said it's got to be cheap. And you don't really want the Home Office to spend too much of our money making it too expensive and too elaborate. So it is a classic case of a large-scale project which you might in one day be interested in managing, specifying or delivering. So I've got a little kind of fairy tale to tell you about a similar kind of project and some of the things in governance, risk and compliance that might go wrong with it. So the characters in my fairy tale are four groups. The customer, up there, a bit pale, but he's more or less in business. And the customer obviously is a major organisation who's worried about security and wants to purchase an IT system. I'll tell you why in a moment. And the supplier, otherwise known as Top Sellers Inc., is a major seller of IT systems. Then of course we have the people in the background you don't see much of, the hacker, because this is a security lecture after all. Now you begin to think this is a fairy tale and hackers are kind of small-scale people, they're kind of university students with nothing better to do or something. But I have to take it that you actually understand that we're actually really in the business of world-class security here, and the hackers actually are in fact foreign governments. this is a serious business. And of course there's the chorus here. There's the people who own the shares in the company, and therefore they want the best deal for the money. There's the media who are watching everything, and therefore are interested in failures. Successes don't usually get into newspapers, failures often do. So there's always a kind of a chorus of disapproval if you spend too much money or if things go wrong. And of course, there's law, auditors, and all sorts of people in the background to make sure we try and get the thing right. So as I say, the customer's dilemma. What could go wrong with a computer system? What do they want to do? If you look at some of the impacts on business, look at Sony, for example, has lost at least 170 million, possibly the order of 1 billion in terms of loss of business, loss of market share, loss of value, capitalisation of the shares on the exchanges, because they lost a lot of the data which related to passwords and to identity, which was a you're one author, Mark. Congratulations. And then there are ones where there's what you might call hacktivist attacks, hacktivists being politically motivated hackers. A group called LotSec, similarly related to one called Anonymous, have attacked a lot of government computer systems, usually as a denial of service attack. But the problem is when you see big attacks like this on people like NHS, on the Security and Organised Crime Association in the UK, is this just a kind of a political statement? You coming to make a political statement? No. I thought it was a hacker. He is a hacker. And while they're hacking into the system, while it's not working correctly, or while it's being restored afterwards, then, of course, the serious hackers have a chance. This is a critical time for most systems. Can you actually recover from a kind of an outside threat and make sure the security is kept working correctly? So you can see all of these kinds of attacks. How many of them are there? Well, if you were in the company, you'd say, well, actually, we know about this graph because IBM publishes this graph. This is in something which we call the X-Force annual report. If you Google X-Force, X-Force, you'll see that twice a year we publish a list of things like the rate of attacks, the most common modus of the attack, and we comment on what is likely to happen in the future. Now, why do we know that? Well, I'll come back to what the supply in this particular scenario knows, and they actually know a great deal about many other computer systems, and therefore they can collect data like this. The reason this graph went up quickly around here is that legally people were obliged to say when they'd been attacked. And the reason it's going up here is a mixture of incompetence, underspending, mismanagement, and the usual things which cause things to go wrong. But it's quite serious. It's still going up substantially quickly. But of course, the customer, you can be the customers over there and you can have the suppliers over here. So customers, they wanted the thing to be managed successfully. You imagine you're a company with 50,000 staff, that kind of thing. You've got lots of different operating companies in different countries. And you want the thing to be managed securely. But we want to increase security and maintain cost. I mean, why wouldn't you? And we know that the data of breach costs are something like $200 for every user's details we lose. So, your feeling is you're not an IT company, maybe you're a drugs company, a pharmaceutical company, and you're looking to the suppliers over here, what can they do? Which suppliers do you go to? IBM? Well, maybe. Here is a supplier. It's a typical large IT supplier. It's got centres in various different parts of the world. It's got research organisations doing security. It's clearly a world-class supplier of IT security systems. It's got a robust infrastructure. It's got 10 different security operations centres. We opened one in Poland quite recently. it's got 3,700 customers. So quite clearly it's in the business of doing security. I hope we've got a UPS system and some backup supplies. It's exciting living here. Well done, yes. Another hacker. So our top selling supplier convinces the customer that really outsourcing security is the best thing they can do. Don't do it yourself, outsource it to us, we'll look after it. And by the way, we'll reduce the costs. Every year you'll get a lower bill from us. That's typically the kind of thing which people ask for, and typically the kind of thing which IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, other suppliers, other hosting companies like Atos,